Hey guys, welcome to Charming Channings. Today I'm going to be taking you through my process of making a two-tiered wedding cake. We're going to go through filling, icing, stacking, and decorating the cake today. I'm getting started by filling my cake layers. Start with my icing border around the outside and my filling inside. This is chocolate pudding, and we did the recipe for that in the previous video, so if you'd like it, you can go back and check that out there. Now, something to be cautious of here is not to overfill your cake. This always is true when you're putting filling in a cake, but especially when you're doing a tiered cake because you're stacking it. If it gets overfilled and starts sliding around too much, it's going to become very unstable, and you don't want your top layer to come crashing down. So don't overfill it. Make sure you have a good border on there containing your filling. Once I have everything stacked, I'm going to do a crumb coat or dirty ice my cake. I always do this for wedding cakes. It just helps give them a very clean, polished, and finished look at the end. If you have never done this, you're just taking a small amount of icing and lightly scraping it around the outside. It's basically going to look like a naked cake. You're just trying to contain some of the crumbs from the cake. This will start to even out the sides, any high and low points between the cake layers, and it will just allow you to get a more even, straight final layer when we go to do the final coat of icing. And all of that's going to help us stack the cake up to be straighter and more level as a whole final product. You can see already how much nicer this cake is looking just having this little crumb coat of icing on here. Once this is done, I'm going to put it in the refrigerator to chill before we do the final coat. And in the meantime, I'm going to get started on the top tier. To do my top tier, I have two cake boards. The larger one is just what I'm using to transfer the cake back and forth to the fridge. The smaller one is the same size as my cake layer, in this case a 6-inch, and it's basically going to become a part of the cake now. I'll be icing right around the cardboard, and it will be there when I go to stack this on top of the 8-inch tier. I've always chosen to do this because it makes it a lot easier to stack it, as well as to then unstack it when you go to cut and serve the cake. Otherwise, the steps I'm following are the same that I did for the first tier, filling and doing a dirty ice and crumb coat to get the sides even and start getting it straight and smooth. Once again, going to put it in the refrigerator to chill once it's finished. Coming back with my chilled first layer, we're going to start getting our final coat of icing on. This will be our final smooth coat, and for this cake, it is just going to be a smooth coat of icing. Then we're going to add some decorations to it. My best advice for getting a really smooth finish on your cakes is to just have a little patience with it. It will get there, but sometimes you have to work with it a bit. And of course, do not forget the power of video editing. There's a lot of time being cut out between these clips of me going back and forth filling in all my tiny little imperfections of icing. So it does take some time and it does take some patience. Now listen up, because this is my favorite cake decorating hack that I have ever learned, and I'm going to share it with you now. When you get to this stage and you are doing your final pass over your smooth coat of icing, go and heat up your bench scraper. Of course, this will only work if it's metal, but go and run it under hot water, dry it off, and then go do one final slow, smooth pass over your icing. This final pass with the heated bench scraper will get out any of those last little imperfections. If you have an icing recipe that's high in butter, like the one I'm using here, it will actually warm the butter and can give it almost a glossy, finished look at the end. Finishing up this layer here, I'm just looking for straight edges and a flat top so that when we stack our second tier, it has a good flat base to sit on. Now that I have both tiers iced and chilled, I'm going to move on to stacking. For support straws, I use these bubble tea straws. They're very thick and sturdy, and they have worked great for me, so I love using them. For a 2-tiered cake, I'll use a total of 5 straws, 1 in the very center of the cake, and 4 around the perimeter. So I am putting in these straws to help support the weight of the top tier that's going to be sitting on here. Everything is very solid right now. It's been in the fridge, it's cooled, it's chilled, but don't forget this is only cake, and cake is not a very sturdy structure on its own. So we're adding in some of that support. You don't need a lot when you're just doing a 2-tiered cake, but I always err on the side of caution and go with more structural support than less. Here I'm just cutting down the straws to size so they sit flush with the top of the cake. And then we're going to go ahead and get ready to put on that top tier. First step to stacking your tier is to put on your glue. Put a layer of icing on top of your support straws between your 2 layers. This is important. I cannot stress that enough. I have forgotten this step a total of 1 time. And a total of 1 time I had a cake fall over. It was the time I forgot this step, you guys. Don't forget it. That glue is important. Now I'm just using my offset spatula to get underneath my cake layer. I have that cardboard under there, so it makes it real easy to grab onto. Also why it's important to have your glue, because you want that cardboard to stick to something. And then we're going to put it on. Make sure it's centered, straight. You can give it a little push down just to make sure it's stuck and secure on there. Then we're going to go ahead and just fill in this little space that we have between our 2 tiers. I'm just using a piping bag and piping just enough icing to fill it in. I don't want to ruin the nice smooth finish that we got on the cake, so that's why I'm just piping in a small amount, and then I'm going to go ahead and use my small offset spatula to smooth it out. Once you're all finished, you should have a product that looks somewhat similar to this here, and then we just have to go ahead and decorate it. The decorations chosen for this wedding cake were gold leaf accents and faux flowers. So here I am working with putting on the gold leaf. If you have never worked with this, it is quite the treat. You think it's going okay, and then you do something like breathe, and it gets all messed up, and it's just a real fun treat to work with. But it looks beautiful. It looks so elegant. I absolutely love the way it looks on cakes. I just haven't found a truly fabulous way to work with it yet. For this cake, because I was going for pieces across the cake to accent the flowers I was going to add on, the tweezers were the best. I was able to rip off little pieces and just kind of scatter them on the cake. Thankfully, it was a look that was forgiving of wherever the gold leaf wanted to go. It was kind of okay. It could go there. Now let me tell you a little something about me and filming right now. Sometimes I forget that I'm supposed to be doing it. So I completely missed filming me put the majority of the flowers on this cake. But here's a little clip of me putting on the final touches, adding a few leaves. It was mostly more of the same, just cutting flowers to size, figuring out where they're going to go, where they're going to look best, and placing them in the cake. And then I just went in and added a few final touches of gold leaf once I saw where the flowers were positioned and sitting on the cake. And that was it. This was the end of this wedding cake. I put it in the fridge to chill overnight before it had to be transported the next day to the venue. And there you have it, guys, a 2-tiered wedding cake. Let me know what you think about the cake in the comments. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never have to miss a video, and thanks so much for watching.